So think about how tight that chain of control has to be, where there's the underlying VA that's doing that particular task for a particular client on behalf of an agency that we're white labeling back to us, where we are managing that particular VA. At any point, lots of things can go wrong inside this content factory. And back to this 3-tier model, where you have workers that are just coming in, getting certified, so then they can unlock the ability to do a particular task in that function. Graduate up to the levels, become a manager. And as a manager, you oversee many people in that section. There can be many managers in a section. And maybe there's many different types of workers within a function, right? But anyway, you have workers who are doing task level work. We can audit how much a task should cost, how long it should take, everything driven by training. So we know that way it's not subjective, right? We can measure output, just like if you're a driver for Grab or Uber. We know how many rides you've done. We know what the rating is, because if you drop off the person at the wrong place, then they probably will give you 1 star instead of 5 stars, right? Did you show up on time? Did you drive the right way? Did you do everything right? It has to be a clear and measurable sort of way. So that way the management layer can easily look across all the different workers, instead of like being a boss where we're trying to bust people for not doing things the right way. We're actually coaches. We're here, we're on the same side, because we want to help everyone else level up, because when they level up, then we get more money, right? There's a bonus incentive that's for us as well, because we're being graded by the underlying output. So if we increase the underlying output, which is quantity and quality of the people that we are managing, then they're leveling up, they're making more money. And if there's a rating piece where it's client facing, where the client will, just like when you're at a restaurant and that client will rate your food 1 to 5 stars. You're a Grab driver, they will rate your ride 1 to 5 stars. You sell something on eBay or whatever it is, you rate 1 to 5 stars. You understand the whole 5-star rating system. Then our work is being rated by the underlying either agency, white label, account manager, or the underlying business owner that's being serviced by either our agency or the agency we're white labeling to, right? So the idea of a boss doesn't make sense in this content factory, because we are all trying to help everyone increase our output. It is not arbitrary. It's not subjective. We know what that output is. And thus, each of us, we are not people that people on our team should be afraid of, because we're here to help you get 5 stars. We're here to help you. Maybe let's say, for example, to repurpose a blog post, repurpose a 1-minute video into a blog post takes 15 minutes. That's what we know what the standard is. That means in an 8-hour day, people should be able to do 32, but let's just say 30, because they get some breaks. Then we want to help everyone on our team help achieve 30. And if someone is at 25 or some number lower, then we want to help them figure out, is it training? Is it that they're tired because they started late, or they have stress in their life, or there's a flood, or maybe, they have some other kind of issue? We're here to help them. Maybe they're getting 30 done, but they're being rated 3 stars because they're sloppy and making mistakes. We want to help them. So we're not there to discipline them, because the system is already measuring everything. Just like, imagine you're playing your favorite video game and you want to help someone else learn how to play that video game, and you're coaching them because you've already completed Zelda or whatever the thing is, and Fortnite, and you know how to kill everybody. Well, that's not a good example, because that's eliminating other people. But you're able to complete some kind of game and win that game. Then you can teach other people how to do that, right? So a manager is really a coach, not a policeman, because they are trying to help. And this is great for Filipinos. They are trying to help the other people on their team level up. And it's not like there's only one position open. There can only be one manager. There's an infinite number of people that can move up. The more people that move up, then the more clients we can bring in. And actually our bottleneck is that we don't have enough qualified people to do the work. So for everyone who's watching this now, or even several years from now, there's an unlimited amount of work, because it's the whole planet and everyone wants this. What an incredible situation we're in, where everyone wants to hire us. I just closed 3 clients today, law firm clients, and another agency. Last week, I'm managing their sale to a much larger agency. I'm flying out to Philadelphia for this. There's huge growth in the agency space. 2 of my clients just got acquired beyond this one in just the last month or so, and I'm helping negotiate that transaction, right? So the manager level is there to help more workers. More workers means more managers. And at the top level, we said there's an architect, and the architects are making sure the entire system is working properly. So do you guys feel good about the idea of these 3 layers in the content factory, the workers, the managers, and the architect. What do you guys think? Is that good? Questions? Usually with Filipinos, they won't say
Yes.
that doesn't, silence doesn't necessarily mean people understand. It could mean that they're afraid to ask a question.
Yep, I appreciate this wisdom from you, Mr. Dennis, because sometimes we have an understanding about the managers that we tend to be what you call this, a slave worker. So we tend to see their faults but not to coach them, but with this understanding is we really need to help them grow on their level so that they have a better understanding um, on their end, what you call this, what do they need to do to level up. You've said that there's an infinite number of managers and there's an infinite number of work, and that is the reality of it. And this is really good. This is really good. Thank you.
Very smart, Ryan. And a lot of Filipinos are aware there's not enough work. They think there's not enough work. So maybe they'll slow down or they'll take their time, because if they do the work, then there's nothing for them to do, right? They've already completed it. There's plenty more. When there's visibility and you can see how many jobs are in the queue, you can see how many clients there are, and you can see there's just a mile of clients, then you have no worry about, it's like having unlimited money. Like, why would you worry, right? Okay. Mary Grace, you were going to say something? You were just nodding.
I'm just not. I'm nodding, and yeah, I have to add something on what PM Ryan said. Yeah, because recently we're more on the PMs are more like a police rather than a coach. So yes, this is very helpful for us because it gives us something on our head. It's better to be. We shall start being a coach as managers.
So think about what are the differences. Let me ask you, Mary Grace, what's the difference between a coach and a manager? And what kinds of things would a coach do that a manager wouldn't do? Like a policeman manager.
A police, yeah, because just checking the seeing the previous in the previous months, it's like we're always focusing on what's the mistake of our co-workers, like that, what is the mistake on this task, like that. Then we will take note of that. Yes, that's part of the process because we need to know which part are we going to focus on. But after we have the mistakes already, it's like, all right, we got your mistake. Then we don't do anything after that. We don't do coaching. Oh, this person needs training, like that. Right now, it's a realization for us.
Yeah. So instead of just mistakes, obviously it's not like we ignore errors. It's not like we ignore low output. But to be a coach means we want to catch people in the act of doing something good. So when they exceed the number of tasks they're supposed to do, when they get an accolade from a customer, when they level up, when they're able to achieve something, like they complete a new training, right? Just like in a video game. Sometimes you die in the video game, so you start again, right? And people don't get flustered about, okay, you just start again from level 1 and you move up, whatever it is. So it's a reward and punishment system. So if it's only punishment because we're catching mistakes or disciplining them, then it's a really bad video game. Who would want to play this game, right? Okay. So I'm going to walk you through a bunch of system architecture components that will appear confusing potentially. And if so, I want you to stop me and ask if you have a question. I'm about to go through some items that are very deep and very complex. Okay. Now that I've told you about these 3 roles, we're going to zoom up to the architect layer. I'm going to show you how the system is being built and what this means in terms of us as architects, managers, and workers. Okay. All right. Oh, let me share here. All right. You see this? So I've got a bunch of these documents. And in order for people to get into the factory, they have to be qualified. Certainly, we can bring in our friends and family and people that we like because they're very intelligent. Maybe they have a lot of experience in another job, doing something that appears to be very similar. But we want everybody to be able to qualify. So in this case, we have 6 different roles. And you can see, I've been to the Philippines many times, used to go all the time. And we'd have, only rice and meat all you can, and do the massage and sing karaoke. And here's videos of me and John Jonas. I've been to his house multiple times. So we have all this training, for example, on how do you hire VAs And how do you sort them? And how do they qualify? By going through these different stages. So we recommend having 6 stages. It's all based on them actually demonstrating that they can do that particular role. So if you're coming in as a video VA, then you need to demonstrate before we ever hire you that you can do that particular task. But in addition to being able to do that particular task, you have to also show that you can work in a team, show that you can communicate, show that you have a plan. Otherwise, we might as well just hire people on Fiverr, right? The point of being on our team is not because we make more money or because we're a closer family, but it's because people buy into being part of an overall system that's good for everybody. And you can see that in this case, we have multiple stages as people qualify, and it's all very clear. So it's not arbitrary on what level someone's at, because anyone can point at that particular associated training, and you can see this thing goes on and on what the different rules are. You can see like here. Now your compensation system may be a little bit different, but in this case here, you can see here's these different levels and modules and all this, right? There's a whole thing around how this is done here, okay? But that's not what we're bringing. Because looking at the architect level, we know that there's a way that anyone, because we're going to hire 1 million people, anyone who wants to get a job is welcome to come to the training and qualify. And if they qualify, we guarantee them a job. But we're not going to instantly bring them in as a senior person. They have to demonstrate that they do that work, go through all these particular components, okay? Now, this is something that we call, let me close this. I got these things open here. Okay. This is what we call the master presentation. This thing's 1,000-something pages, you can see. And Fiverr is a partner of ours. Now, you might think, wait, if we're building a content factory, which is to take content from our clients, they're making videos, we're writing blog posts. Tony Ricketts, his content factory is driven by writing articles, mainly text. But we're using video as our primary input, which can turn into text and follow the same kind of process. So you might say, well, and here's all the stuff. I've been to Fiverr headquarters. I've got courses with Fiverr. I'm well connected with their executives. I have stock in their company. So if the idea of this content factory is 4 phases, content comes in. So it can be a brief, it can be videos, it can be reviews, it can be anything that we can suck in about that underlying client. Let's say it's a HVAC company. So when we have these particular components and we organize them, and we know not just the content, but their goals. I need to generate leads at less than $70 or calls or forms at less than, whatever it is. And I know who it is. It's people who have homes in Richardson that need new roofs, whatever it might be. Then we can move into this processing component. So processing is using Descript. Processing is editing the videos in different ways. Maybe using Premiere, using these other tools, transcribing it. I like Descript because it's a Swiss Army knife that allows us to do lots of things inside here. Then we repurpose it. So distribution is, let's put it on the website, on Facebook, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on their GMB, as a blog post, all these different ways of repurposing the content after it's been processed in the second phase. And the last phase is promotion. So amplification is $1 a day. It's saying thank you. It's other ways to try to get more out of what's already working well. So you see the 4 phases. You produce the content, process the content, repurpose the content, and promote the content, right? So this is the factory. And pretty much every agency needs to do this. Doesn't matter if they specialize in email marketing, PPC, SEO, whatever. You have content that has to be edited in a certain way, like put on a landing page or text campaigns or whatever it is. You've got content that gets repurposed or that has to be edited to be repurposed. And then there's an amplification component, which is usually advertising. If we know that's the case, then this framework will work in any industry because the same 4 phases work, whether it's a real estate agent or a chiropractor or a personal injury attorney or a plumbing HVAC company. It's the same thing, right? The only thing that's different is the inputs are a little bit different. So they're still giving us 1-minute videos, but the 1-minute videos are about a plumber showing how they do their job, as opposed to a personal injury attorney showing how they do their job, right? But it's still the same type of inputs. The factory process is still the same. The workers are still processing in the same way, but the ingredients coming through are a little bit different. So when we do white label for all these other agencies, as long as they adhere to providing the ingredients in the way that we want, we can process everything in the factory. That makes sense? All right, comprehension question. Based on what you know about these standardized roles for people that come and work in the content factory and what we just said, how is our model different from Fiverr? Why wouldn't a client or a white label or an agency that wants to white label us, why wouldn't they just go to Fiverr instead of going to us?
Trust factor?
Trust factor, so we have more reputation than a random person on Fiverr, okay. What else?
Maybe they're looking for a long-term solution.
Yeah, because when you hire a contractor or freelancer, they might do one thing, but then they're not available a couple months later, then you have to keep hiring and firing and all that. So yeah, continuity in terms of a function instead of for a project. So you're right. Fiverr is great for projects, but we're only doing work that's according to a process. That's great. All right, what else? There's 3 or 4 more. So what are the other reasons why we're different? Because they could get it cheaper on Fiverr, couldn't they? I mean, why?
What are they getting on Fiverr? Like there's trained freelancers on Fiverr?
Well, Fiverr, Upwork, any of these sorts of places, right? Go to Fiverr. Oh, go to Fiverr. What can you get on Fiverr? You can get a course on how you can build your personal brand on Fiverr. Look.
Yeah, I know the person who teaches that.
This guy, I heard he's pretty good. I heard this is the best personal branding courses out there.
He looks like your uncle or something, like somebody with hair. Like he's got hair and little younger looking, but
is this one more handsome?
Yeah, you know, that guy looks like really Asian.
Does he? With the vest?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll serve you some wonton soup.
That's what I'm thinking you're about to do right there.
Would you like some fried rice? Special for you, Jonathan Bannister.
Thank you, sir.
Will you like a fried egg roll? I can do that because I'm Asian. If I was a white guy, I'd get crucified for saying that. And if it's being recorded, I don't think anyone's going to cancel me for that.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
that's right.
Okay,
you can do that.
Fiverr, when you go to Fiverr and you're looking for people to do stuff, you have there's 6.5 million people on Fiverr. And I could look at anything, you know, like video editing or something, right? TikTok video editing. And from the standpoint of the underlying small business client, the service business or the agency, I have no idea who any of these people are. I mean, yes, there's a rating and review system. This guy's got 1,000 reviews. So sounds like he's pretty good, top rated. But if this guy's already got 1,000 reviews at 5 stars, and it looks like he does pretty good stuff. I mean, wow, it looks like he's got a studio and I can read his reviews, and maybe I come in and I contact him and I say, hey, dude, Luis, can you do this, this, and this? And he responds, and, you know, I negotiate this cheap price for $130. Or maybe, you know, I want something, this standard thing, plus I want to do this other little thing. Maybe, you know, charge me $150 instead of $130. Versus if I try to buy this thing through the content factory, I might pay $500 for that. So why wouldn't I just hire someone on Fiverr to do that? I mean, I can get it a lot cheaper by just going to Fiverr and trying to piece this thing together myself.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you won't have the process. Like you're going to have to teach someone else the process. You're going to have to, then the next time you want something done, you're going to have to teach someone else the process, you know.
Yeah, you got to find another person each time you want something done.
Like you're going to want the consistency.
So what's the difference between a project and a process? My buddy Bijal, who has 800 VAs, he says, projects cost you money, processes make you money. Because projects, they get delayed, we miss deadlines, things go wrong. There's constantly starting and stopping, which is very difficult, which is a freelance way of doing things. But a process is ongoing. Process, like a monthly package where we're going to process a certain number of videos. Every month, we know this is what we're going to do. Processes are ongoing functions. And because there's consistency, there's reliability, there's standardization, then we can manage that process because we're not starting and stopping having to start and stop all the time is just really painful and inefficient. So people who are clients of our agencies, we will only take on agencies that sell packages of ongoing services, where there's an ongoing retainer of $2,000 a month or whatever it is that they have in that package, because whenever the agency's selling a package, that naturally translates to what we do in the Content Factory to be able to deliver against processing these particular videos, blog posts, GMB, ads, whatever. It's all process driven. Process is the gateway to a lifetime value that's much, much higher for the underlying client. Because if you start a project, how do you know, and you finish this project for $130, let's say this guy does a really good job on this one little thing for $130, then I've got to rate it each time. Then I've got to, each time I got to figure out what the goals, content, and targeting is. And it's just a new thing starting all over again. But a process, I don't even have to be that aware of the underlying client. It doesn't mean I can just mindlessly grind through the stuff as a factory worker. I still have to pay attention. I still have to be skilled, because you can't quite automate certain things, right? You can only automate to a certain degree. And I'm an engineer, so I'm big on automate everything that we can. So we're not going to go into detail today on the different steps in the Content Factory and the kinds of retainers that are tied to this and kind of the ups and downs of how we process content. But you can see that there's a lot of things that go into processing content. You can imagine, okay? So any questions about the idea of the Content Factory and how the ongoing process is more valuable than trying to save a little bit of money here and there by doing projects, by individually hiring people? The underlying agencies and the clients that are part of those agencies, they just don't want to have the hassle. They're totally okay with paying a premium, and it's not a significant premium, to not have to deal with the little details. There's people that want to hire, like us, like people that want to hire a gardener versus someone who wants to like mow all the lawns and cut their leaves and like whatever all themselves. Like, we're not, like, we know that, and they know that it's okay, and it's better to have people that don't want to do DIY, right? Yeah, it's cheaper DIY if you look at your own, if your cost of your own time is worth nothing, right? So the DIY people never come into the system anyway. So it's never about the price. It's about, I don't want to have to deal with it, and you pay a premium for that. All right, let me tell you a little something about the strategy behind the idea of selling packages. The secret is that all packages are actually courses, because the courses are the underlying SOPs and trainings on how to do stuff. So if you look at Tony Ricketts and online marketing, all the work that he's done is governed by these SOPs. So his training is embedded in the doing of the work. So I believe if you have a course, you have to have a package, because how else can you keep your course up to date unless you have people going through it all the time? And if you have a package, you have to have a course, because how else do you audit and be able to measure what the output is that you can do 4 posts per hour, or how long it should take to do a particular thing? If you don't have clear standards, you can't bring in new people. Then you just hire people based on whether you like them or not, or whether in the interview based on subjective factors. So later is your homework, if you haven't already, watch this 39-minute video on the Course Builder course, which shows how courses and packages are the same thing and how it goes across every step of helping people be able to achieve their goal, right? The other thing about the factory too that I didn't mention is that there's no need for any consulting in these packages, right? When we're executing and driving leads and sales and whatnot for these underlying businesses, we're just getting the work done. So there's no paying for private coaching or consulting or any of that. And that's where a lot of agencies get into trouble, because A, they have something custom, so an account manager has to be involved. But with this system, there's never need for anyone to talk to anyone. Isn't that beautiful? Because it's standardized. We know exactly what's going on. Now, it doesn't mean there's no training. The training is in all the courses. They can come through these courses and learn how to do all these different things, right? In fact, if they would like, they can look at how we do every single task. So we have this 1,000 task library. Every single task, we know how long does it take to create a case study? How long does it take to edit a 1-minute video? How long does it take to upload something to YouTube? How long does it take to do, how do you create a how video? And here's the underlying training on how to do that, right? Everything that we do needs to be put into the task library, so we know how it's done so other people can repeat it, and we know how long it should take. We know the level that's associated with it. So if it's, say, like, depending on what pay scale we have here, we can change it around. But let's say a level 2 VA is worth $4 an hour, and this particular task takes 15 minutes, then they should be able to do that task for $1, right? They're being paid $4 an hour. They complete 4 of these $1 tasks in an hour. And, you know, that's because it's 15 minutes, do the math. Then we know exactly what a task should cost us. Whether the VA is being paid hourly or being paid piecemeal, which is per task, it's the same to us because we're measuring the output. So we know when maybe Jimple is editing 1-minute videos and he can edit 4 per hour, and the end of today, you know, Jimple does 30, and he knows he's being, let's just say, being paid $4 an hour, then that's worth $32, right? And maybe Mary Grace is creating blog posts. And let's say a blog post, this particular type of blog post takes an hour. And let's say you're making $10 an hour. Then we know that that blog post is worth $10, and you should be able to get 8 of them done per day if you're a factory worker, right? So you see how the documentation and the training and the courses all work hand in hand. So we have this thing we call the asset tracker, and it tracks all of our courses. We have all these courses that show how to do things. And a course is nothing more than the bundle of tasks that are within a checklist. So a checklist is, here's how we're going to bake chocolate chip cookies. Get butter, sugar, flour, chocolate chip cookies, mix them in a bowl, put it in the oven, bake it for 17 minutes at 375 degrees, take it out, cool it, you know, serve it on a nice tray. There's a checklist, right? And a checklist is composed of different tasks. So that way, someone who wants to come into our factory, let's say it's a chocolate chip cookie factory. Wouldn't that be cool to work in a chocolate chip cookie factory? Would you like that, Mindy? And so they come into the factory and they want to get trained. And if they don't know how to make chocolate chip cookies, and, you know, let's say Ryan, he's smiling, he really likes chocolate chip cookies, and he comes into the factory, but he's never been trained. Even though he loves chocolate chip cookies, he's going to goof up the whole factory, right? He's going to make a mess. The machines, you're like, you know, machines are going to go out of control. It's like Willy Wonka when things are going crazy. So we want to make sure anyone who enters the factory is properly trained for their particular role in the factory, so they can unlock that particular task. If they go through a particular training to then unlock the associated task, then it's a great way where we know Ryan can start off as a level 1, start doing these basic things, be able to start working in the factory, make $3 an hour, $4 an hour, you know, all the way up, and be very clear as he moves up the different levels and unlocks more tasks that are more complex, right? Because certain tasks build upon each other. That creates a career path. And a lot of VAs, we see at other companies, they never level up. They feel like they have to negotiate. So when they come in, I got to negotiate the best I can because, you know, I'm going to negotiate a salary of $800 a month or whatever it is. And they never get an increase on that because it was never based on an objective standard saying, here's how many of these things I can get done. Oh, and I learned a new skill. So now I'm worth even more. Well, if you learn a new skill and you're worth even more, you should be paid more, shouldn't you? So most agencies don't do that. It requires a lot of sophistication to document and have the foresight to put these courses together so people know, here's what we need to do, right? Like processing TikTok ads. Great. Do you know how to edit a TikTok video? We do. We've got templates. We have the training on it. So we know how many each person can do in a particular role. So the asset tracker and the courses, with the asset tracker and the 1,000 task library, which is now more than 1,000 tasks, is how we document things so that it's very clear what everyone else is doing. And that way, when they come to the academy and they see that there are 118 courses in here, and they can go through any of these, they can learn how to edit 1-minute videos. They can learn how to do $1 a day. Then they can see clearly, they can go through the different exercises. And then there's a quiz, and you have to, just like any kind of real certification, you have to go through these different things, get 80% on the quiz, on a 20-question quiz, complete a simple sample exercise, earn the badge, and then you are qualified. What's the difference? Here's a comprehension question for you guys. What's the difference between a course like I am showing you here versus, well, why don't I just watch all these YouTube videos? I can learn Facebook ads by just watching YouTube videos, right? And YouTube videos are free. Why would I pay for a course?
The process.
process. Well, what does that mean?
Well, because you're, I think on YouTube, I mean, you're going to get a bunch of pieced together stuff. You may have to watch multiple people doing the same thing, but you're not going to get that consistency that you're going to get in like a module where it's like, and it's a video that all runs together. So maybe 30 minutes could be an hour, but instead of having, okay, here's step one, step two, there's check-in parts where it's like, okay, do you fully understand the section before you go to the next? And then having these test or quiz. I think that's the way I think most people learn is don't go to the next step until you fully understand this one. And let's verify that you do know before we even move forward.
Yeah. So you said consistency, you said verifiability, standardization. I'm curious, Angelica, what do you think about this?
I think I would add on the example of was if you were learning a YouTube ad in YouTube. Well, you can only follow the steps on how to do it, but you need to understand what that particular step works for, what it works for, and you need to understand the strategy on how to run a YouTube ad. So in following a YouTube training in YouTube, you can just a lot of people are just doing the setup, but the strategy and the in-depth understanding on the on how the YouTube ad runs, they don't know it. So
yeah. And on YouTube, you're right, they're not going to teach strategy. So when you have a standard, this is the one. So when we say standard, we mean this is the industry accepted standard on how to do something. So one of the industry standards is $1 a day. And if you go to HubSpot and you learn about $1 a day, so how do we run $1 a day on Facebook? How do we run $1 a day on Twitter? How do we run $1 a day in these other places? They can come in here and see that this is training. Now, anyone who's using HubSpot or Infusionsoft or GoDaddy or any of these other majors are going to see our training embedded in their system. Because in case not, I mean, agency owners never do this, but if they did, we could ask them like, what's the $1 a day strategy? And you could see here, let me change the sound so you can hear this. Go to the sound.
Academy. Today, let's talk about marketing expert Dennis Yu's strategy for Facebook ad success, called the $1 a day Facebook ad strategy. What is
it? It's Dennis Yu's $1 a day strategy. So this is a standard, right? And people can go through this and it works well for HubSpot, but think about this. If you come through these courses, it's different than YouTube, like Jonathan said, because it's consistent, because if on YouTube, you never know. It could be like 5 different people saying different things and stuff changes. It's outdated. You don't know what's current. They could be saying things that are wrong. They'd be trying to sell you in this other thing. But if you're using the standard, then it's going to be worth a lot more in terms of what you're worth. Because if I put on my resume or CV, hey, I've watched lots and lots of these YouTube videos. I'm now a YouTube PhD versus I went through Cornerstone's certification, whatever we call it, and I'm certified in this, this, and this. That carries a lot more weight, especially if I'm doing work on behalf of an agency that's white labeled in Cornerstone, right? So there's a ton of authority from having a certification from, you know, let's say I was at American Airlines 25 years ago, and pilots wanted to go to flight school. They went to flight school so they could then pilot, you know, 747. But if they were playing Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is pretty good, pretty realistic now. You see how it's so real. It looks real, but I need to actually go to flight school. I need to actually get a real pilot certification. And this is real digital marketing certification because it's respected in the industry. On any of the places that you respect, people will recognize that and say that's awesome. And even more important than that, if you watch YouTube videos, does that guarantee you a job? If you can go through this certification, you can get it done, we guarantee you a job. Start at level 1, move up to level 2, 3, 4, make more money as you unlock these particular tasks. So as Jonathan said too, and I think Angelica kind of hinted at it, when it's part of an overall system, the training leads to the employment, and the employment is based on the training because people never stop training if we're doing it properly. We want people to always be growing, always improving their skill so they can level up. Because the mind, if you don't train the mind, you turn into a robot and you stagnate, you get old and die, right? You need to keep always improving. I'm always learning every day too. And because of that, I don't believe that training is something that only a training department should do. Training is something that anyone who's a worker who's achieved has learned how to do a particular thing successfully at least 3 times should help also enhance the training that we have. But it doesn't mean that you can have someone who's rogue come in and say, well, forget your system. I was watching this other internet guru and he said that we should do it this way. So forget what you're doing. I'm going to do it my way. What would happen in the factory, do you think, Gilnor, if you're one of the managers and someone else came in and said, oh, I know better than you. I have more experience and I learned from this other place. And I have 5 years of experience doing this and I learned it differently in this other place. So I'm going to do it my way. What would you say? You're on mute.
You're on mute, Gil.
Pardon, sir. Can you repeat it, sir?
So we have standards and we do not bend from those standards, right? Just like you want to be a pilot, there's a standard. You want to be a surgeon, you go to medical school, there's a standard. You want to be an attorney and pass the bar, there's a standard. So just because someone else learned something at some other place and they watched a bunch of YouTube videos, what does that mean when someone comes in and says, you know what, I can improve upon what you already have? When should we listen to when someone wants to improve upon what we already have versus say, no, you need to follow the standard? Our rules, our house.
Um,
Because as a manager, you need to know that, right? Think about all the things that people will say. Not that they're trying to disrespect you, but they may ask why. You never had anyone ask a question you like, why do we do it this way versus this way?
yes. Well, if when I'm sorry.
It's a difficult question.
Yes.
You were zoning off in some other area. Did I lose you before?
Yes.
That's okay.
Yes.
See, that's the beauty of training, right? So
Yes.
training requires continuous assessment. If you're watching a YouTube video, there's no way that YouTube, just like Angelica said, there's no way YouTube can check in on you and see like, oh, did you not understand that part, right? So the idea of continuous assessment is absolutely key. So the way to test whether someone knows something is not to ask them, hey, Mindy, do you understand what we were talking about? And she says, oh, yes, I do. Okay, well, let me ask you a couple comprehension questions to see whether you understand, right? So it's trust but verify. Anytime there's training, to verify whether they actually have gone through the training, you don't just ask them, do you understand it now? Because then they're gonna click the button, yes, I understand. Because they want to please you. They don't want to say, no, I don't understand. So it's absolutely key for any piece of training where we show people how to do something, there's some kind of assessment, some kind of quiz. It could be like a 2-question, very simple quiz, just so that there's some kind of assessment. And if people know that there's an assessment, they will pay attention. It's not that we're trying to trick people on a quiz. It could be very simple, like how many stages are there in the content factory? The answer is 4, right? Well, of course the answer is 4, but the fact that the workers know that there's assessment means that they're going to pay attention to the training. So it's almost like the quiz doesn't even matter. As long as they know that there's a quiz, they're going to take the training seriously. Because most of the times companies, they have training, they say, watch these 10 YouTube videos, and there's no assessment. So Mary Grace, why is assessment so important?
Well, first and foremost, if like you're working in an agency, assessment is very important because it will check whatever learning you got from the training that just recently conducted. Then also assessment for our agency in CSMS, it's how you gauge the level of the person with respect to the training or what they have learned during those times during the training time.
Great answer, Mary Grace. I'm very impressed. If our system was running right now, I'd give you a gold star. Good job. Okay. So we said, just to recap where we've gone so far, we said that there are workers, there are managers, and there's architects. And the overall system is that courses are packages because everything breaks down from the courses all the way down to the individual tasks. The tasks, we know how long they should take to be able to do them. So that way we can clearly be able to pay people more for doing certain things, and it's not subjective. That way, the workers in our factory are not billing by the hour. I mean, technically we can pay them by the hour, but we don't want people to think that they're selling hours to us. What we care about is the productivity, right? So the focus on getting work done at high quality, as opposed to, well, I'm just going to clock in and then I clock out. And when the day's over, I get paid because I was there. So by physically being there, that's all I need to do for the company. And we're saying that's not enough. Just because another week has elapsed doesn't mean that you've earned the pay. Just for being alive doesn't mean, you should be paid. So we have put these into these subscription packages, which Tony has, and then there's this other tool called SPP that we've been playing with, in addition to project management systems like Basecamp, which we really like. You could see like the way we're doing it in Basecamp. We have some really big clients in Basecamp. So like Nike and Red Bull and other guys where we've done stuff for, there's a lot of projects in here and there's a lot of people doing lots of different things. So I'm going to ask you a comprehension question in a minute. I'm going to teach this little module here, and then I'm going to ask a comprehension question to see whether you're paying attention. In Basecamp, which is the same as Asana or Trello or Slack or ClickUp or whatever project management tool, you have the idea of these different to-dos. There's things that have to happen, and they need to be done in a certain way, and there could be templates on how these things are being done. And there may be communication along the way too, because we need to do SEO, or we need to have client meetings, or we need to share reports. And you can see on some of these things, there's a lot of communication, right? There's a lot of negotiation. There's a lot of just coordinating on how to do stuff, right? And some of them are internal and some of them are private. And you could see that this is a sophisticated system because in any kind of project, you're going to have all these things that could happen, right? As part of this client pays us $20,000 a month. And there's a lot of different things we're doing for this $20,000 a month. But some clients, they're only paying $2,000 a month, and we're doing something different, right? A smaller package. But when we come over here to this product as a service, so they could be paying us, $500 a month for link building. They could be paying us, this doesn't have a price on it. Here, $500, local business digital plumbing. This one happens to be a one-time price instead of a monthly price. You can see this is a one-time price, $500. So just for context, digital plumbing is setting up all the tracking. The Google Tag Manager with all the pixels, UTM parameters, event tracking, so we have conversion tracking, and it shows here's what's in here. So anyone who wants to come in and buy this particular package comes in here, and if they buy it, we know that it will take us up to 14 days to get this thing done. When someone buys the package, then they're immediately taken to this form. In this form, they give us their various information. Think of it as like the ingredients for a recipe. They give us all these different ingredients and, do you have a Facebook page? Well, yes or no. If you don't, then we're going to say, oh, here's the module explaining how to create a Facebook page. Do you have it in your business manager? Do you have these different things? So we have all this stuff that's necessary to be able to execute so that all this intake, all the necessary ingredients, then power tasks. These are tasks done by workers in the factory. So the worker will install Google Tag Manager. And here's the associated training right here on how to set up Google Tag Manager, right? And this is what the worker will see where this task gets assigned to them when it's their turn, right? So then they don't know how to install, and maybe they've already gone through the training and they're qualified, but we want to refresh how to do that. Maybe they forgot.
To install Google Tag Manager on your site. Now, there are really kind of two what I would call categories or ways of doing this.
So he's showing how to do all this, right?
Way, and it's the way that there are instructions about where these need to go, right? This first one needs to go as high in the head of the page as possible, the head tag of the page. And this one needs to go immediately after the opening body tag. Now you need both of these pieces of code in order for this container to work properly. And we're going to show you a really simple way to install this using WordPress. Now, WordPress, we recommend this plugin right here. It's called Insert Headers and Footers by WordPress Beginner. And it's something that's super simple. It gives us the ability to do a whole bunch of different things that we like to do as part of our process, but it keeps it all condensed down into one plugin. So it simplifies the number, it reduces the number of plugins you have to have on your site. So go to this URL, we'll provide this to you, and then we'll show you how to do this using this plugin. So if you go over here into your WordPress backend and click on settings, you're going to see this insert headers and footers section underneath the settings area.
Okay, blah, blah,
And what
blah.
you're going to do,
So you can see he's explaining how to do stuff. In line. In line means as you're doing the task. Now, you did already go through the training, but maybe you forgot. So that as you are doing this particular task, there's all these different tasks. You can see that we have the training showing how to do these particular tasks, right? And this may be done by a single worker. This may be split into multiple workers that are completing these different tasks to then be able to complete the project. And the project's complete, then the client gets a note saying, hey, ta-da, it's done. Okay, here's the comprehension question. Based on what you see here between Basecamp, which is what typically is done, or any project management system, Trello, Asana, Monday, Slack, versus what I just showed you in the Content Factory, what are some of the key differences between those two different ways of operating? Did we lose Jonathan? We lost him a few minutes ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
He had to go start another meeting.
Okay.
We
All right. Well, we'll go for a little more and then he can watch the recording. But what are some of these key differences?
Consistency.
Okay.
clarity and efficiency.
Oh, that's good. So Ryan, explain that a little more.
Well, basically, if compared to the Basecamp, Content Factor does have the clarity because you can teach the person how to do it, and efficiency and how fast can that person do it. So
Yeah.
basically, that is how should be a specific role should be done.
Yeah. There's a couple other things. I know you guys have said consistency. Jonathan said that many times. Maybe that's like what he's been like really hammering in. There's no need for any project management, consulting, or direct communication, like having meetings. Why? Because they come in, they buy that particular task or package. There's the onboarding that says, now give us these things. Now, until you give us these things, we can't start doing our work. So there's no consulting. This is just implementation. This is just getting the result because it's an auditable result. We can audit because at the end, here's the one-page checklist. Boom, 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 boom. Any of us as managers can verify whether those things were done or not. We can inspect it, right? So there's no negotiating it because that is exactly the package that you get. We're not like, oh, let's come up with a campaign on unicorns that are giving out donuts. Like, no, it's not to say we don't process creatives, but everything that we have can be mechanistically determined whether it was done or not. So there's no need for account management. That eliminates a huge amount of cost in agencies. And that's what creates the efficiency. That's what creates the consistency, like Mindy said, because we're executing the exact same thing over and over again. If someone says, well, we don't want to use Tag Manager, well, then don't buy the package. Well, we want to do it this other way. Well, go somewhere else to do that because this is exactly what we do in the package, right? When you go to, I don't know if you guys have a Chick-fil-A, or you go to Jollibee, right? You go to Jollibee and you order the bucket of the Jolly Chicken, whatever. With
Chicken Joy,
yeah, with the 8 chicken drumsticks, right? You order the chicken here. I need to now, hang on a minute, Jollibee. Oh, hang on a minute. This I need to, I love Jollibee.
There's a Jollibee there.
There's Jollibees all over. Oh yeah. Jollibee. Look at this. I'm eating Jollibee. Oh, watch this. Jollibee.
I love our Filipino virtual assistants we're hiring for graphics designers, video editors, content marketers, operations people. Come join our team and come join me. I'll see you at Jollibee.
That's ridiculous. But but let's see. Let's go to the Philippines. Can't even spell Philippines. Okay. And you can see that I spent a lot of time in the Philippines and we love to eat. And I think there's more Jollibee, and you probably recognize where some of these places are. We're eating a lot of food. There's Jeff Hunter. We're singing karaoke. You guys sing karaoke? Let's see.
Their Grace loves karaoke.
Yeah, see,
That's her-
this is Jollibee, right? All this, we're eating food. I know the Filipinos are like family, so we're always eating food. But while we're eating food, we're also doing training. So we're pulling out our notepads and whatnot. You can see, really kind of cool. Is that Jollibee? No, that's another one. Yeah, we're constantly training. It's called learn, do, teach, right? Recording this training that we're doing. So that has nothing to do with anything. I just wanted to show Jollibee. Okay, so when we have a clear package and it's an industry standard and people understand this is how you run Facebook for $1 a day. This is how you set up digital plumbing. This is how you edit a video. This is how you do TikTok ads, because this is the #1 best-selling book right now in social media on Amazon. And it happens to be on TikTok ads. Then people know this is the standard. This is how you do it. We're not going to do it any other way. Therefore, there's no need to ever sell. There's no salespeople in a hospital, right? People come into the emergency room. Hey, Jimple, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Jimple, tell me, in an emergency room where people are coming in, car accidents, gunshot wounds, bloody noses, colds, do you think if we put more salespeople in the emergency room, Jimple, that we could drive more sales at the hospital?
It depends upon the product you're selling.
In the emergency room at the hospital?
No one will buy because they are focused on other things, like their lives particularly.
Okay, so Jimple, let's say that you're a doctor in the emergency room and I come walking in and I'm not bleeding, I'm not in any kind of pain. And I say, Jimple, what I'd like to do, I want to evaluate your hospital. I would like to have a 10-minute interview with every single doctor in the hospital. Just, I want to get on a call and ask them the questions and see whether I think they're a good doctor or not. Every surgeon, I want to talk to every surgeon for 10 minutes. Can you go ahead and bring them over to me? What would you say?
Okay, so while I am on a particular emergency,
you're in the emergency room. There's all these people that are dying. They're coming in, ambulances, everything.
You have to talk to someone who, or let me do my job first, something like that. I'm busy right now.
Okay, yeah, you're busy right now. So Mindy, what would happen if you're a surgeon in the emergency room? I come in and I say, Mindy, I'd like to line up a 10-minute meeting with every single doctor here, every surgeon. I want to talk to them and evaluate whether I think they're good or not at whatever surgery they do.
I mean, it would grind production in a hospital to a halt if we stopped what they were doing to go meet with you.
Well, I would say politely, no, this is a hospital. And sir, I'm sorry, but the process is like this. If you come into the hospital, we have a process. It's triage. So the ones that are the most urgently ill, we treat them first. And the ones who just broke their toe because they walked around in the dark in the kitchen and tripped over the toy, well, you're going to maybe wait a little bit longer, right? You know what I mean? You ever been to the emergency room? Sometimes you have to wait longer because you're not dying, but the person who's just got shot with the gun or car accident, they need to be treated right away. So are you mad when someone who's very urgently critical, they get treated before you're waiting there, right? Because there's a process. And so when that person comes in, we're going to evaluate everyone who comes in the emergency room. We evaluate them and we do the x-ray, we do the blood, we figure out what's going on, and then we do the treatment based on that assessment, not based on whatever the patient wants. So if the patient comes in and says, oh, Angelica, I'm having a heart attack. We need to help me do some heart surgery right now, Angelica. Would you just say, okay, great, let me get the heart surgeon. We'll do heart surgery right now. No, you're going to do the x-ray. You're going to examine stethoscope, and you're going to say, well, Mr. Yu, I know you're in pain. We just did the examination. It looks like you have heartburn because you ate too much spicy chicken at Jollibee, right? You do not have a heart attack. It's actually just, your stomach is just not good with the spicy food. So here's some medication to help you with the spicy food, but I'm in pain. I have a heart attack. I need heart surgery. No. You have heartburn, not a heart attack, right? So we as the hospital, in the same way that we as the agency, or we as the content factory, where we are servicing these agencies on behalf of, taking care of the underlying clients, we have a process. We do not deviate from this process. These are the standards. If someone says, well, I can get a heart operation for much cheaper. I have a witch doctor friend next door. He's in that hut next door in the jungle. Go over there then, because in the hospital, we have standards on how we do things. And this is how we do it. We always do assessment before we just start doing things. And we're going to do it our way, not your way. And here's our checklist. So there's no negotiating on the price, no negotiating on how it's being done. These are clear standards. And that's what gives us huge efficiency, because there's no salespeople. So Gil, why are there no salespeople in the emergency room?
Hello, sir. Because we don't need salespeople in the emergency room. Because you don't need to sell products when there's an emergency.
But what if, someone has an emergency and they need heart surgery? Why don't you just sell them on lung surgery and brain surgery and sell them a liver? What? You know what, Gil, I'll sell you today a special just for you, liver transplant, 80% off. I'll give you a really great deal on a liver. You don't need one, but I'll give you a really good deal on a liver transplant. What do you say?
I would say no.
No, why not? It's a really good deal.
Because I don't really need it.
So who's determining what you need?
The doctor.
Okay, so let's say you're in pain. Let's say you have abdomen pain, Gil. Maybe you ate too much chicken at Jollibee, right? And you go in and they examine you and they determine that you have, upset stomach, or you have diarrhea, or maybe something like that. And they say, based on, our assessment, that you need to take this particular medication and this medication. Are you going to argue with the doctor and say, no, I actually think I should take this other medication?
No, I won't argue with the doctor.
Okay.
Because
Why wouldn't you argue with the doctor?
Because doctors knows best what's you need to take for your pain, or
Because you have trust in the doctor. And
Yes.
because
Yes.
we didn't go out and try to convince you, like cold call you to come into the hospital. Like we didn't go knock on your door to sell you magazines, right? Or try to sell you on this used car, or sell you on why you need to buy this jewelry, right? You came into the hospital in pain, in the emergency room. You came in. We didn't tell you to come in. If you come into the emergency room and you believe that the doctors in the whole hospital is a good hospital, good reputation, then you trust what the doctor has to say. When you get on an airplane, you don't question the pilot. You don't even know who the pilot is, but you believe that if you get on the airplane, you will land safely. And in fact, it's so safe, you never even think about this, right? Last time, Mindy, you were on a flight, you probably never thought about whether the plane would be safe or not, or maybe you did, but you didn't really care. Before you got on the plane, did you say, I need to know who is flying this plane? Do you? No. Oh, why not?
Because I trust that they've been trained and know what to do.
Okay, so when someone comes into our content factory and the underlying agency says, well, based on an assessment, Mr. HVAC company, we think, you need some of these videos, you need some SEO, you need this change to your website, we need to run these ads. This is my diagnosis and treatment plan for you, right? So Angelica, we did an analysis of your x-rays and all this, and based on this and all your data, then we need to do this, this, and this, right? Clearly we need to. You're going to say yes to this because you trust the doctor. And then the underlying people that are doing the surgery, the nurses, the anesthesiologists, the other people that are in the hospital doing the different roles, you don't interview each of them. right? You already trust them. So there's no need for you to interview each nurse and each anesthesiologist and each surgeon and whatnot. And so the analogy of helping people in the emergency room is like fixing the health of people the same way as like fixing their business health. So us as the marketing agency or powering marketing tasks, we are using these tasks in the content factory to improve the health of these businesses that are in severe pain. They're in severe pain, so they know that we have all these courses. This is exactly how we do the stuff. We publish it so anyone can come in. If you want to operate on yourself, good luck, right? I'm going to save the money. I'm going to operate on my, like, you're probably going to kill yourself. You don't know what you're doing. I watched these YouTube videos. It looks like I could probably do it. It doesn't look that hard. Yeah, I'm going to go to the hospital. You go do what you want, if you have a problem, right? So the idea of the
So
content
Dennis-
factory, yeah.
Sorry, can I ask one thing regarding this one?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we, as a company, how can we apply this in the real world? Because sometimes companies do tend to please the client just for them to stay. If sometimes some clients deviate from the packages, sometimes these clients want this and this and that. How do we tell this to the client that no, this is the right path, this is the right package for you? You have to apply this one, or you will suffer the consequences.
Well, the issue is upstream
Yeah.
of that. So it depends on how the client came in. So if the
Okay.
client came in because they came into the emergency room and they were in pain, then we have enough authority and trust that never happens. And that doesn't happen to
Okay.
me. I've been doing this for 30 years for the biggest of companies with the most sophisticated of digital marketing teams. And they never question whether my recommendation is correct or not. But sometimes there will be people that, for whatever reason, they were sold, or maybe someone cold called them and they didn't see you as the authority.
Yeah.
All of this, of course, you make a really good point, Ryan, is contingent upon them seeing us and seeing us as the authority and trusting us. So if the client doesn't have that kind of trust, then that's actually the problem. And I don't think there's an easy way to fix that, because once the client says, well, I know that you're going to try to do SEO this way, but I was reading this other blog where this
Yeah.
other guy said, then go over there, right? We're not here. Look, the packages we have as part of this content factory we don't argue with the patients. This is what we have. If I go to Jollibee, so I know Jollibee has like spaghetti and they have, mashed potatoes and they have the chicken joy. But what if I went to Jollibee and I said, hey, Ryan, I don't want the chicken. I would like to have a, let me say something else. I want, like a steak.
Burger.
Lamb steak.
Burger,
lamb.
yeah. Let me have something else, right? I want a double cheeseburger. Can you give me that? What do you say?
Don't have that one.
No, but I want that. I want a double cheeseburger.
Maybe you go to
McDonald's.
Burger King does have that
Yeah.
double cheeseburger.
Yeah, it's not on the menu. So we cannot. So I'm going to use one last analogy. I'm using different analogies because I kind of like trying different ways. So the restaurant analogy, you have, let's say it's a nice restaurant. I went to a really nice restaurant last night. And when you go into the restaurant, a nice restaurant, and then you sit down, the waiter comes out and gives you the menu, right? And then what happens?
Choose on the menu.
You order.
You order.
Oh, you order. Okay. So you look at the menu and maybe you have some questions about the menu. So can you tell me what's in the
Oh, yeah.
salad? Or what is today's soup? Or, what kind of seasoning do you use on the chicken? Right? What
Bestseller.
exactly is in the pasta? Right? You have some questions like, oh, is this gluten-free? Whatever people might ask, right? And you can only, right, Ryan, you can only order what's on the menu. You can't,
Yeah.
you basically can't order something that they don't have, right?
Off the menu, yeah.
So then the waiter takes your order. And does the waiter go into the back and start cooking for you? Start making your food?
Yeah.
They
After
do?
you order.
No, but so the waiter takes your order. So does the
Okay.
waiter go into the back and start cooking your food for you?
No. The waiter gives that to the chef.
Oh, okay. So the chefs and the cooks are in the back. So there's all the cooks.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the cooks make the food. And then do the cooks bring the food out to the table for the customer?
Nope.
No. Why not?
It's the waiter.
A waiter, okay. So there's waiters and cooks. So there's people that
Yes.
talk to the clients, basically to take the order, but not to consult, not to come up with something new, but just to try to help you figure out what item on the menu is the best. We're trying to take people from sitting down at the table very hungry to figuring out which item is best for them on the menu. But whatever the input is, it's an order that's on the menu that goes to the back. And do the people in the back necessarily know who the individual customers are? So the cook that's making the steaks, you know, he's cooking all the steaks. Does he know? Someone says, oh, I need a steak medium rare. Does he know who exactly that, you know, that it's Jimple who's asking for the steak? Do we know that Jimple asking?
No, it depends. If it's
No,
Gordon,
no, no.
Gordon Ramsay.
If
No.
he is the president, maybe.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
President, okay, someone very important. But usually if we're
important.
operating according to SOPs, then
It's a matter.
No, they didn't.
there's delineation between the work being
Yeah.
done and then the account management in the front. So what we're talking about in the content factory is these agencies can still have account managers, but we in running the content factory, so they're the people that are talking to the clients for these other agencies that we're white labeling for. We don't want to, we as cooks in the kitchen, we're running this big kitchen. That's what this content factory is. If we have a clear menu on what can be ordered, then there's never really any issue. We just keep, oh, another order came in for French fries. Oh, another order came in for a bucket of chicken joy. Another order came in for spaghetti, right? So our cooks, based on the menu, can deliver those items and the waiters pick it up and give it to them. That way we don't have to negotiate every single time. Can you imagine if every person who came into the restaurant, we had to negotiate exactly what their meal would be and make up some new dish for every single person that sat down? That would just be ridiculous, right? So yeah, maybe the president came, though, we'll make him whatever he wants. Well, we don't have it. We'll go to the store and make it. We'll find a way to make it, right? But that's not what we're talking about. It's about the factory. Okay.
So
So
you
how-
are saying that,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, it's like you already have a brand and the client has to conform with that brand.
But it's not that we're forcing them, right? It's not we're handcuffing them. It's that they're coming in and they want chicken joy. They
Yeah.
want the chicken. Like, why would you go into Jollibee and you're like, I hate chicken? Then don't go to Jollibee. You don't like fried chicken, right? I love fried chicken. Show all kinds of
So
fried
when
chicken.
when we say there's no more negotiations, it's like the client has to take it or leave it.
So when you go to Jollibee and you see the price of a bucket of 8 pieces of chicken is $10, do you say, I want to pay $7? What happens?
Maybe you'll be the guard will throw you out or something.
Because it's a good price, right? It's a fair price and everyone pays that price.
Mm.
So we're not trying to rip you off, right? Like, this is the price, this is our process. You can clearly inspect, this is how we make it. This is how if I continue the analogy, this is the chicken recipe. This is where we get our chicken from. You can see everything, right? So that way everyone can feel good about this. Because you're not going to go into the hospital and try to negotiate the price, right? If you're having a heart attack and you need, some kind of heart treatment, you're not going to negotiate. You're dying. You're not going to negotiate. It doesn't mean we're going to rip them off either, right?
Yeah.
Mary's smiling. She thinks this is funny. Okay.
She just came from the hospital.
Did you? Oh, I'm sorry. Hopefully it was good.
Yeah. C-section.
Oh, okay. Well, congratulations then. All right.
She was having cut in half.
I
Oh,
was
wow.
actually imagining, when I have the anesthesia, then
Oh.
I'm telling the doctor, please make the price lower, like negotiating. So I was actually smiling because
Oh, you were?
I
Okay.
have
Well,
this imagination in my head.
I try to use as many analogies, because, different analogies tend to work for different people. So I try to try all of them. And one of them will, the pilot or the doctor or the restaurant, one of them will resonate more with you. So just choose the one that makes more sense for you. It's the same thing. Okay. Now, if I go back to the restaurant menu analogy, on our menu, we want to start out very simple. So decide what are those things that you already are doing that are governed by an SOP. So let's say if we were opening up Jollibee and on our menu, we want to start very simple because, these are new people. Maybe the menu item is the one chicken joy, right? One chicken drumstick. And people can come in and that's all there is on the menu. It's like, I want one chicken drumstick. Great, here. Someone comes in, they say, I want 2 chicken drumsticks. Okay, here, we know how to do that, right? Because in the back,
Yeah.
we only know how to do one thing when we first start. But then what else is on the menu? The hollow hollow, right? At Jollibee. So then, you know, as we get tighter with our process and our training and more people know how to do this, we add hollow hollow to the menu. So then someone comes in and they say, I want 1 chicken joy and I want 1 hollow hollow, right? So we keep adding more items to the menu. The more items we add to the menu, the more things that we can do. So that when someone says, I really would like this one thing, I want, you know, Snapchat ads. Oh, I'd love to do Snapchat ads for you, but it's not on the menu yet. Maybe we'll have it very soon. I'll make sure the team knows that you would like Snapchat ads on the menu. We don't have that one yet, right? So what I want to do, hopefully Jonathan will be back in a few minutes, is let's talk about, for our next steps, what is the repeatable items that you guys know how to do already, or we can bring in a lot of the workers and we can start training them on how to do things like editing 1-minute videos and being able to repurpose content or turn video into blog posts, which then get turned into press releases, which then govern SEO and all these other kinds of things, right? But I want to start this content factory with a few very simple tasks. And as we scale out these tasks, we can hire more people and we can provide more services that are additive here that we would put inside this content factory. So we'd have more of these things here, right? So you can see more services. Okay, what are the other services we can offer? Let's just add more things in here. And then this allows us to operate what's called a 2-sided marketplace. So from an architect standpoint, a 2-sided marketplace is we can put in as many workers as we can on one side. On the other side, we put in as many clients as we can. And as we get more clients, then we need to have more workers. And right now we have an issue where we don't want to let in more clients because we don't have enough workers. So really the issue is the more workers who can come in and be trained up, then the more we can process, right? So we have an unlimited demand on this side of clients who want to purchase. So now the next step, let's train up as many workers as we can initially on one task. And then each of these workers can do 2 tasks, 3 tasks. And as they get more tasks done and we're measuring what the output is, this allows everyone to grow. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So that is the strategy of the content factory. I would love to hear, what do you think?
I think it's great because right now, in our experience, we have a lot of negotiating to do with the clients, and that hampers the work, the progress of the work. So with what you presented, it's like a fast food wherein the client goes there and he orders what's there on the menu, and we can proceed with with our process in our pace and in our standard time. Then everything will work smoothly.
Exactly, because we just sell chicken joy over and over again.
Yes, like an assembly line or something like
Yeah, it's a factory.
that. Yes, yeah,
But it's
yeah,
a factory
exactly.
with high quality. It's a Tesla factory,
Yeah.
not a McDonald's factory. Yeah. Okay, who else?
It's great, sir.
Okay, one question: how can we eliminate the understanding? Because you've already, sorry for the hammer.
What?
We have something in here. Okay. So how can you eliminate the understanding of the people that they are just working as a factory worker? Because some for the past years, our understanding is just to deliver products. But right now, we are creating a better process on each step, on each levels. But the people that we have right now, their understanding is they are just factory workers. They are just robots that they have to do this, do that, each step of the way.
Yeah.
They are what in their mind they are being uh contained in a box that they have just to do this part, not
Okay.
this one, and not this one. How can we coach them that oops, that is not our goal, but this is our final. Should be your understanding of this process. You get what I'm saying? Sir
Some
Dennis?
people, so if, aside from all the hammering, right?
Sorry.
Some people they some people they don't want to level up. Some people they just want to stay where they are, and that's okay. But it also means that whatever pay they're at, they're going to stay there. And any kind of professional growth, you know, if they just want to mindlessly do this one thing that they've been doing for a long time because that's kind of their habit, they can keep doing that. But people who want to provide more for their family, who want to be able to learn more and grow and just not just to make more money, but they just want to, you know, it's good. Like your brain wants to grow and learn skills and improve, and you want to help other people. And so the more you're able to level up, the more you can provide jobs for other people in your community, people in your family. You want to help other Filipinos? Great, right? You want to build an orphanage because maybe that's something that's very important to you, or some kind of nonprofit? Great, because as you level up, you're able to do more. You're able to make more money. You're able to be a leader for other people. And I'm not doing this for the money. I retired 20 years ago. I'm doing this because I think it has huge impact on the planet. And it's a good thing to do. I'm not doing this for profit at all, right? I'm not being paid here. Jonathan's not paying me. You're getting free training from me. Couldn't even afford this training. It'd be very expensive, you know. But Jonathan believes in creating the jobs. So anyone who wants to create a lot of jobs, I'm here. But not everyone has to do that. Not everyone wants to, you know, move their career up. You know, maybe some people, they're older and they just want to do the same thing they've been doing for a long time, and that's okay. It just means they won't move up. But just because they're stuck in their position doesn't mean everyone else should be the same. So we provide the opportunity, but we're not forcing anybody to level up. Okay. Hey, Gil, what do you think?
Thank you.
Oh,
Hi, sir. Actually, this content factor is being assigned to me way back with you. Our operations manager, Mary Ann, was. But I think this is great. I am looking forward for the more trainings about this. And sorry about a while ago, I was zoning out.
that's okay.
Yeah.
It's too early
Because
in
I
the morning, huh?
have
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, you're tired. That's okay. Go get some rest when your shift is over.
No,
Well,
I'm
thank
good,
you,
sir.
Gil. Do you have other questions? Are there parts that are confusing, or you have feedback?
Right now, no. I'm just looking forward for
Okay.
to start with this training.
Yeah. Great. Angelica, looks like you want to say something.
I think, well, I just have a question, sir. If are you, can we have a copy of the documents that you showed us before, which because well, I think Boss JB shared with me the VA hiring document from you, but I'm really interested with other things that inside of that courses, and I
Mhm.
think it would very much help us to study and learn from that document. Then we can do this training for to make it more comprehension, because it's part of I think it's part of the assessment, most
Mm.
especially that's what I do, at least on my part.
Mhm.
When I actually know how to do something, and I need to verify that I need to verify myself that I really
Mhm.
know this thing, I actually ask someone that is a senior from other department, or a senior from me, or have more experience from me, if this is how they it actually do it. And once they told me that it is correct, then I am very confident that
Yeah.
I'm doing it right. So that's one of the
Yeah.
assessment that I'm doing with my at least in myself as
Mhm.
project managers, most especially
Mm.
we are not that knowledgeable with other services inside the
Mhm.
company yet,
Mhm.
because we are still adjusting with other services, most especially as project managers who came from different departments, and that maybe we are um, have in-depth understanding of that specific department, but to other departments, we need to still learn on how they do that, so we can
Mhm.
verify and assess if they are really doing the right thing on that
Yeah.
specific services. So
Yeah.
I think I have a clear understanding of the content factory and the and how it works, but I think we need more trainings like this
Mhm.
to make it more clear,
Yes.
because I think because as of now, um, what we are doing is actually I think we have this process in a general manner, but we do not have the specific, we do not have the clarity that we are doing this particular process specifically.
Mhm.
So for like example, we are doing the onboarding, and we have I think from what I know, because I think OM India and the US team are doing this one. We have a document that we are sending to the client, and they were the ones filling out that document, so we can have all the information that we needed from them, so we can start with the services.
Mhm.
But most of the time, there are things that being left off, that which is very crucial to start a specific service. For example, in creating an ad in Facebook, in Google, if they did not give us the what offer they want to advertise,
Mhm.
what is the budget,
Yeah.
we can start that ad.
Mhm.
So most of the time we are being held off, and the ad is getting are getting delays because of that one. So I think the main purpose of the content factory is the clarity on what the client really wants, and the efficiency for the workers to do their job, and for
Yeah.
the project, and for the project managers um to assist them and coach them
Mhm.
on, and have and give them the proper understanding of what the client really wants.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. And the clarity, I think that's absolutely key. You said the clarity, so the client understands what's going on, and especially what ingredients we need from them to be able to execute that recipe. So you saw, before anything can start, here's the things that we need the clients to give us: the access to the ads account, the offer, these other pieces. Because if they don't complete those pieces, and like you said, there may be some holes in the existing process you have, if we don't spell out exactly what these are, then the people over here can't do their part.
yes,
So you see, with any kind of task, there is the requirements that the ingredients necessary to cook that particular recipe, and then our cooks process those ingredients. So we're kind of a strange kitchen because the clients have to bring all the ingredients. But if you want to have, let's say, you want chocolate chip cookies from the kitchen, but you don't bring any chocolate chips, then don't get mad when we can't make you chocolate chip cookies, right? But if we don't tell them, they say, I want chocolate chip cookies, and we don't tell them, before you place the order, you have to give us the butter, sugar, flour, and chocolate chip cookies, or chocolate chips. If you give us these, we will make chocolate chip cookies, right? But we have to be clear, right? That way, because we cannot allow anyone to place an order unless they give us everything. Otherwise, they're going to blame us.
yes, sir.
So good point.
Thank you, sir.
All right. How about Mary Grace?
um, about the discussion is pretty clear to me also, and I have also agreed I have the same idea as what the other PMs are saying already. But I have this one question, and I don't know how to, if it's okay to ask,
Go
since
for it.
you are also handling different people. And in my notes, we have here, as part of our job as PMs or managers, we have to coach. But it seems pretty difficult if we have differences as personal differences. So how do you deal with a person who doesn't want to be coached?
Well, they don't have to take coaching, but if they're not
Mhm.
able to comply with the standards, and let's say the standard is that you're processing 1-minute videos, then it should take 15 minutes to process a 1-minute video, and you're taking an hour to do this task. So in a day, you get 8 of them done instead of 30, and you do this several days in a row, then we will give you a warning, and then eventually you have to terminate you, right? Because here we have some clear standards in the factory. And it's not because we're mean. It's not because we want to fire people. I mean, we want to hire as many people as we can. There's so much work to do. But if you cannot meet the standard, and clearly we can measure it, just like, I train you on how to play the video game, but you still like die in the video game. Don't blame me, right? But if you want coaching and I can help you play the video game better, then I want to help you improve. But if you don't want improvement, just like what Ryan was looking at before, some people are just stuck where they are. We cannot force this on other people. So coaching is optional too. Leveling up is optional. But if you cannot meet the standard, then we can clearly log in and we can see how much each person has done. And people who cannot make and the standard is a fair standard. It's not hard. If you follow the training and you're diligent, you should be able to easily make the standard, right? But if you just can't make the standard, then unfortunately you can't be in our company. And it's not because we have anything personal against you. But if you want to grow, and maybe, you were tired yesterday. Like we know the guild is tired and sometimes things happen and we're stressed out or we lose track, space out. That happens. So maybe, my productivity today is a little bit lower. And that's okay, right? Because sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's higher. Maybe tomorrow I'm doing really, really well, right? And that's normal, it's human. But if my productivity this entire week for a whole week is just 50% of what it's supposed to be, then and you don't ask for coaching and you don't ask for help and you don't say anything, and then everyone can log in and see what your stats are, now we have a problem, right? And then instead of being coaching, now it's managing. Now it's like, okay, well, Ryan, I was looking at you can see your performance, right? Every day you can see your performance and you have not asked for help. So that tells me you don't want help, or it tells me there's some kind of problem, right? So coaching is something we want people who, if you're not making your numbers, then go to your coach for help. Maybe they can help you with something, right? Figure out what's wrong, right?
I totally agree.
Yeah,
Thank
the
you, sir.
coach it's a good thing, right? But if you keep failing, then the coach turns into police, right? Okay. How about Mindy? What do you think about all this that we've been talking about?
Well, first, Jonathan, I don't think he's coming back. He wanted me to tell you he's in
Okay.
a YouTube paid thing that he's doing,
Okay.
but so that's my first thing. I'm very excited about this for several reasons. First of all, we have so much content and I'm very excited to have a clear plan to put it out to the world to establish Cornerstone as an authority figure in our space. I think that will help with the American team who has to talk to clients and try to continually establish, our you need to trust us. We're the marketing company.
Mhm.
This is what I'm suggesting to you. So I think having all this content out in the world is going to help just back them up, because hopefully more people will come to us. They'll come to us, and then we can have that, not power play, but kind of power play. I love the clarity of everything. We are all digging in together to try to find the inefficiencies and the roadblocks in the company right now. And so to have, crystal clear plan, really excites my nerdy side. And I feel like our capacity is going to increase because we're not going to have so many just kind of dead wasted space. And yeah, I think that's Those are my big ones.
Good. So you guys together as a group, based on what you've learned, this is an introduction to the content factory. We talked about some of the key concepts of what makes this different than regular agency processes because of the clarity and the consistency and the standardization of how we do things, and the measurability and the accountability, where all training is tied to packages, and any kind of work that's being done is tied back to the training. It's very fair. It allows for a reward system, because unless there's measurement, then reward becomes arbitrary on who the boss likes. It makes the job easier for the managers, because the managers can look in and quickly see everybody's productivity, because we can standardize and see how many units, how many tasks each person did, and also assess the quality, because the underlying client can rate 1 to 5 stars on how we're doing, so that we are on the same side. So if one person is getting 30 tasks per day done, but they're constantly being rated 1 star and 2 star by the client, then we can try to figure out what's going on. Before, if there was no measurement, it was kind of haphazard and random when the client would complain, right? Because they would complain and we don't really know, maybe the client was mean, maybe it's like, we don't really know. But now anyone can quickly see what's going on and what that problem is. So given that you see that there's a way to scale, meaning we can start by doing just one task in the factory for just a small group of people, to then have more people doing more tasks and more complex services that we begin to white label, then we can start to, like Mindy said, more agencies in a white label way and be able to consistently scale quality for white label execution, because everyone can see that this is the standard. So we have to publish things like this, these thick books that show we have these SOPs. Now, can you see how thick this is? We have many of these SOPs and we send them to clients. Do you think they ever look at them? You think that maybe like late night, you're bored, you want to come in, start to, read some of the SOPs. No one wants to read this. But by having them, there's tremendous trust, because people know we are not just making this up. People know that the dollar a day thing that we teach on how to run ads, we've spent over $1 billion on it in the last 17 years. They can see all of the other companies that have used the same process. They can see that this is a clear standard. Then they can trust it. And then that eliminates the questions. All of you guys have specifically asked questions kind of around, what if the client wants to argue? What if they don't trust us? What if they're difficult? What if they don't want to listen? We eliminate that problem. But because I don't see enough content really coming from Cornerstone, then that means that we haven't been eating our own dog food. We haven't been practicing what we preach, right? It's not fair for us to tell everyone, you should buy services from us if we ourselves are not doing it. So what I would love to do is look at and just like what Angelica was saying, we can study now. Don't wait until next week, right? Keep studying now. Just like if you're a Christian, don't only wait until Sunday, to believe in Jesus, right? Like every day you're a Christian, right? Or whatever you believe, right? So we'll give you access to all the trainings, and be prepared next time to talk about how we can extend this by having Cornerstone as the first client of this. So that way we can share our own example, because we can share proof of how we're doing things. All the other clients can see, here's a clear standard, right? All these agencies will see, wow, I love what Cornerstone is doing. I would like to have these services done for me, for my agency, for the clients within my agency. And then we can start to onboard and train the account managers at each of these other agencies on what's on the menu, right? Because the account managers at all the other agencies, they're waiters. But if the waiter doesn't understand what's on the menu, how are they going to serve the underlying customer? They've got to be able to explain what's the fish, what is the pasta, maybe there's only one ingredient right now. It's the chicken drumstick, chicken joy, right? That's all you need to know. It's fried chicken. Yeah, but can I have it, it's a chicken pasta? No, it's just chicken drumsticks, right? This is what it is. Here's a picture of it. It takes 15 minutes, and you order it in 15 minutes, we'll give you a chicken drumstick. It's just standard. And we've got to teach everyone how to do that. I mean, we got to document it. We got to pre-record it. That way, we don't have to keep repeating the same stuff over and over and over again, right? And us as the initial group of the project managers, based on what we do, we're going to train up more project managers, because we're going to scale this thing. And when we train up more project managers, that means everyone here should be making more money. I know Jonathan's not here, but I know he'll agree with me as we level up. If you level up, everyone will make more money, but there has to be a clear standard on what that means. If you just stay in the same place, it doesn't mean you're going to make more money, right? But it has to be fair, measurable. We can clearly tell what happens. Okay. Final thoughts, questions? Do you guys feel good? Like, do you feel good about that? This is an overview. Obviously, there's a lot more for us to cover, but as managers, we need to understand more than the workers. We have a higher level view. The workers, they just need to know how to do their one task, and how do they do the one task? Very, very good. Right? But as managers, we have to see the bigger picture, right? Thoughts? Been 2 hours pretty much. Been a long meeting.
It's a great meeting, sir. Actually, Boss Jonathan is talking about you almost all the time. So we're really excited to finally meet
Good.
with Sir Dennis Yu. So,
All right.
He's paving the way of who you are in us.
Oh, good.
So we
yeah.
have a clear
Almost
picture of
every
who you are.
meeting.
Yep.
So what are you going to tell Sir Jonathan about this meeting? Please, because he's going to say,
Gold.
how was it?
This is gold for me. Already posted it on my Facebook page.
Oh, wow.
I really,
Tag
this is great stuff because as we grow, I think what we really need right now is create a better foundation because for the past 7 years our process is kind of off the chart. We don't know who our identity, but as we start this meeting, I believe this is a great way to create a better foundation for the CSMS as we grow.
Smart.
Remove things, unnecessary things, and put the right things on our company, so that we know that we are doing the right stuff each and every time. So
Very
I
smart.
really appreciate this one,
Yeah.
Sir Dennis.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
for me,
Ryan.
this process is like putting it in 2 ways, because during the past few months, we have been just trying to improve the CSMS side, our employees, our processes. But with this factory, you have shown us that there's also a side where the client has to not really conform, but he has to accept what we are offering, and
Mhm.
he has to trust us, like the doctor that you said, and he
Mhm.
has to put his entire trust on the company. And also for the company, in order to do that, we also have to prove that we are really credible, something like that. So
Yeah, exactly.
thank
Okay,
you, sir.
thank you. Other thoughts, questions? I thought this was great. I feel like you guys get it. We've got a good team. I feel like this is a good group of leaders to be able to implement this. Not everyone is going to understand, so just be ready to deal with that. Some people, they see this as a great opportunity to learn more and progress, and some people, they will be stuck, and that's just how it is. It's always like this. So focus on the people that are doing well, and people who resist, then they won't be here anymore. But that's their choice. It's not because we didn't help them. It's not, you can offer the opportunity. They don't always want to take it. It's a good thing, but some people are just afraid of change. They want to do it the old way. All right, guys.
Yes, especially Filipinos. Yeah.
Change is absolute.
All right, love you guys all, and just hit me up if you have any questions. Tag me if you got a post and what you learned, and then we'll catch you guys next week. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Thank you
everybody.
so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you. Bye bye, guys.